is up? Welcome to the Headfirst podcast. My name is Colby, and I know we got some stuff to talk about. First of all, I want to apologize for this episode being a day late. I'm recording this right now at 9 on Saturday. Podcast is supposed to be out on Friday. I know. I'm sorry. I actually delayed it because of a movie I'm going to talk about in the podcast a little bit later. Get ready. I'm real excited. But I delayed it for that, and then the reason it's coming out so late on Saturday is because what you guys are also probably wondering about is I did get a new host, and I won't reveal the gender, I want to leave it a surprise. They were supposed to be in this episode, but due to like some scheduling stuff, it's just not going to work. They should be in the next episode, though. So that's why it's coming out so late. We saw the movie, and then they weren't able to do the podcast with me today. Next time, though, they should be able to, as long as everything goes okay. But, welcome, guys. I hope you all had a good 2 weeks. Mine has been pretty crazy. I went back to school, and I started an online class that isn't hard. It's just a lot of work, and I don't like that. So, that's been fun. But, anyways, I guess let's just jump right into the news. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something that I'm actually glad I delayed the podcast for this, too. An Ed Sheeran podcast, or an Ed Sheeran interview came out today. I don't remember with who. It was a magazine. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. But it has caused a lot of drama on Twitter. It actually had the hashtag Ed Sheeran is over party trending on Twitter. If you guys don't know, I'm not a big fan of Ed Sheeran. I've just never really liked him. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't like you, and I have absolutely no reason for that. Like, there's no basis for me not liking you, so that's where I'm at with him. So when I saw the hashtag, I was like, ooh, why is he over? So basically what happened is, in this interview, he just came across as super duper cocky, and he basically said, as a singer-songwriter, that a lot of other people are becoming singer-songwriters nowadays, and that he's very happy for them, even if they do constantly steal and copy his work. Which is completely ridiculous. This guy has actually been sued twice for copyright infringement, and like stealing, and I mean the whole Cheap Thrills thing with Sia. Like, Shape of You sounds exactly like Cheap Thrills. So the fact that he comes around saying that everybody's stealing from him is just completely ridiculous. And then he also went on to say that the only artist to ever sell more than him the past decade is Adele, which is not true. There's tons more people who have sold more than him. And honestly, I was really, like I said, I was really happy when I saw this hashtag, because I was like, I want him to fail. Once again, for some reason, I don't know why. But it caused a lot of drama, and honestly, like, and he said everything he said was misconstrued and stuff, but it's really, really, it's frustrating. It's really annoying, because he sounded very cocky about how he plans on being the biggest male artist in the world, and it's like, I get it, follow your dreams, girl, get it, but just claiming that people are copying him and stealing from him all the time is just ridiculous. And I'm not completely sure this is a fact, but I'm pretty sure he only wrote 4 songs on his newest album. So the fact that he's calling himself a songwriter is a little bit ridiculous. But honestly, there's not much to say on this. I'm just kind of reporting it. I think it's completely ridiculous, and I think he's acting like a child. Yeah. Like I said, honestly, I said this last time, it's much better to do this podcast with a partner, because I'm bad at talking. So next podcast we'll definitely have someone on. I don't care if it's my mom. I will have somebody here with me. Hopefully the new host will be here. But here's the news I have been waiting to talk about. So a lot of you are probably going to skip over this and get to the end here, because I'm doing this topic and then I'm doing kind of my ending bit, which is pretty fun. I'm sure none of you want to hear this, but I am talking now about Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions, the newest Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie that just was actually released to theaters for the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, I have been waiting for this movie, because if you guys don't know, I am a huge Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan. Now, I'm not a fan of all the bullshit that is Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, 5Ds, Zexal, all that. I hate it. I hate it so much. But I do love original Yu-Gi-Oh! So this movie was an original story with all the original cast to celebrate the 20th year of Yu-Gi-Oh! Being a franchise, which is super duper duper exciting. And I actually didn't know it was coming to theaters. I heard about it from one of my YouTube viewers, actually. So I was like lit as fuck. And then I looked it up because I was with my boyfriend and I wanted to show him because he likes Yu-Gi-Oh! Too. And then when I looked it up, movie tickets came up and I was like, is what I think I did exactly that. And I immediately bought tickets. So we went to see the movie and me and the new host and it was so good. To begin, they gave us a Obelisk the Tormentor card when we bought the tickets. So first of all, just fuck. And it's all holographic and beautiful and it makes me so, so, so happy. But the movie, it was really, really good. And I said this, like, right when the movie was done. I was like, this is everything I would want out of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie like this. Like, they nailed everything I was looking for. They had I can't think of what the good word is for fan service, and because fan service is usually used in a really negative connotation, and it wasn't that. But they had a lot of good fan service, and like I'm saying this in a positive way. Like it was nostalgia. They brought back like that face that I don't know how to describe it. That really stupid face that Joey makes when something really good happens, and his face just looks all contorted and stupid. That was in there, and like. It was so, and not just that, like they had a ton of like harkens back to the original series and all sorts of stuff that was super, super funny and just really it was nostalgic and it reminded me of the show and it made me super happy. And funny enough, when we were going in, I was like, I wonder if it's just going to be like us and those two guys before us buying tickets. Like, I did not think it was going to be very full. We had to sit in the front row. Like, it was a packed house, which honestly made the movie-going experience so much better because the crowd was so lively and like cheering and like laughing and stuff because it was actually the dialogue was so well written, and like Kaiba, he had so many things that it made the entire audience laugh out loud. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not gonna like say anything that he said, but his one-liners and stuff were so funny and it made us all laugh so hard. Like the entire audience was laughing. And so the dialogue was just super duper nice. It brought us a few like origin stories. Like I said, I'm not gonna spoil anything. It kind of filled us in on some stuff that happened in the series. The animation was incredibly nice, like especially on duels. Like it was so fluid and just pretty. All the voice actors were back. Like I said, it made me laugh. Like it was really well done. There were a few small plot holes. Like I'll just say this one. It doesn't really spoil the story because it happens pretty early on. At one point, Kaiba summons Obelisk, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? How did he do that? The god cards don't exist anymore." And I was like, "Well, I'm sure that'll be explained later." No, it wasn't. Never was. Just completely unmentioned the rest of the movie, and I was like, I kept waiting for them to like give a quick explanation of how exactly he was able to do that. They didn't. But overall, it was such a good movie. Like I said, few plot holes, but honestly, it was everything I would have wanted out of this movie. It made me laugh. I cried twice, as usual. I cry at everything. I cried twice. But super duper fun movie, and I could not be happier. And then we're going to move on to something else. We're going to move on to... You guys probably might want to skip this again, but we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch another time. I know we talk about it all the time. I won't talk about it next week, I promise, unless something big happens, then I will. But I kind of want to talk about the bads, because last week I did a whole breakdown of the Switch presentation, and I was just ranting on about how great it was. But there are some negative points to it, and I want to kind of go into that because I was just like, oh my god, everything is so great. This is so good. We're all going to have such a fun time. I'm so excited for the Switch. I already pre-ordered it. But I definitely do have my reservations, and there are some things that are just not very good about the Switch that we definitely need to talk about. So, I'm going to jump right in with probably what I think is the worst thing about this console. Well, yeah, it's a tie. is the fact that all of the online networking, like with your like talking with your friends, voice chat, messaging, parties, all of that is going to be done through a companion smartphone app that Nintendo is developing that I'm pretty sure is not even going to be available at launch. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think it's available at launch, which is completely ridiculous to me. It wouldn't be so bad if that was an option, but the fact is that that's it. It's not an option, it's that is what it is. You cannot do it on the system at all. And I just find that completely ridiculous. It's one of those cases where Nintendo is finding a way to innovate in a place that does not need innovation. It's very frustrating, and I don't get why they're doing it. And like Reggie put it, as like, gamers don't want to pull out a big bulky headset to talk, and we're gamers. We love pulling out big bulky headsets, and it begs the question of, if I want to be in a party playing with my friends but also playing a game, do I have to put, do I have to get a set of like a headphone and like put one headphone in one and one in the other? Like, how am I going to hear both the chat audio and the game audio? It just doesn't make sense to me the way they're doing this. I don't get it. And it's just very frustrating. Like I said, it wouldn't be a problem. I'd actually probably enjoy a companion app if it were an option, like how PlayStation and Xbox have. But they don't. It's just it. There's no options, and that's very, very frustrating. Another thing I am upset about is the fact of their online service. So what it is that they are switching to a paid online service. So it's the vein of Sony, where they went from a PS3 to a PS4, which is fine. Online service, usually means, better servers, better connection, which Nintendo has never been too good with their online services. So, it could be something that's really good. It's not, again, because, Sony and Microsoft keep the incentive to, one of the incentives, obviously besides the fact of playing online, which is the main reason people get it, one of the incentives to have Xbox Live Gold, I think it is, and PlayStation Plus, is you get free games every month. There's always new big like AAA titles that you can play all the time for free. Now what Nintendo is doing is they are releasing a new SNES game every month, which Nintendo has a really awesome back catalog of games, and that would be really cool, like an SNES. Besides the fact that they're not AAA titles and they're very small and that they're already cheap, besides all that, cool, an SNES game every month. That's awesome. It's not awesome because you get it for that month. And then it's gone. Yeah. They tried to hype it up really cool, and it said, they're going to be enhanced with multiplayer features, which could be a really, really cool idea, maybe playing Super Mario Bros, but as actual two-player together, which is something they could totally do now. The enhanced multiplayer features could be a really cool thing. But the fact that you only get the game for a month, it's a demo. You get the game, and then you get the option of paying for it, and then you get another game. That is just bonkers to me. It is just, what? Why? Why are you doing that? Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus give us a few, not even just one, a few free AAA titles, and then discounts, and all sorts of stuff every month. And Nintendo is not doing that. And it's just very, very, very confusing to me as to why they would choose to not do that. I just don't understand it. It's just, Nintendo is, they go into stuff, they're so behind. It's the online, they're just behind in online gaming, and this just shows, it just clearly illustrates one of the ways they're behind. And, I mean, honestly, they could come through and fix it later, but it's just completely ridiculous to me that this is the way they're going about it. But another bad thing, don't worry, there's more. I think this is going to be my last bad point, is cost. So $300 in itself is not a very, I'm pretty sure I got all excited about this the last episode. Looking back, $300 is not a good launch price. It would be if the Wii U did not exist and this had launched alongside the PS4 and the Xbox One. But at this point, you can buy both of those systems for I think $200, $150. The older models for I think $200, but that's a system that's already more powerful, at the very least comparable. Well, they're definitely more powerful than the Switch for a cheaper price. And Nintendo coming into this, they need to be at a price that's marketable to everybody. And $300 is just too high. It's not terrible. They definitely could have done worse. Not terrible. And their whole thing is that they refuse to sell the Switch at a loss. And it just, with all the tech, I mean, the fact that the dock alone costs $90, $80 or $90 is ridiculous. There's no tech in there. There's nothing in there except it's like an HDMI cord. I don't. Maybe they're doing it so they can do. I heard this from actually Zelda Informer that they might be doing in a few years. A new dock that's capable of 4K, so they might be trying to like set the price now. But the fact that the dock alone costs $80 is just ridiculous. And it's like that with all accessories. Like you can, like as I said, you know, you can buy another dock. The Joy-Cons cost I think $70 to $60, $70 together. The Pro controller is $70, which is more than the DualShock 4 already at this point, which is an incredible, you know, gaming controller. It's more than Xbox and PlayStation. The Joy-Con, there's Joy-Con charging grips. It's just everything is so overpriced with this system. And besides that fact, this system only comes with 32 gigs. And that is completely ridiculous. So if you want to buy all your games digital, which I don't, this isn't really going to be a problem for me, more for other consumers. If you want to buy all your games digital, you have to buy a huge SD card. And the things that Nintendo was marketing, like these big like 2 terabyte SD cards, besides the fact that they are going to be hundreds of dollars, they're not even out yet. So the best chance you're probably going to get is like a 256 gig card. And like I said, I like to buy my games physical, and I'll probably be buying a lot of them physical. But the thing is, with a small on-the-go device like this, you want to not have to be able to, or not wanting to switch out cartridges all the time. You know, with a console like, you know, the PlayStation or Microsoft, where it stays at home all the time, it's fine. But with a console like this is on the go, you don't want to constantly, oh, I'll have to take these 7 cartridges with me on the train or wherever it is you're playing. And the fact that it only has 32 gigs and you have to buy this SD card, there's so... Okay, that's fine. Just let my cat howl into the night. What is wrong? What is wrong with you? Okay, I'm back, sorry. I don't know what he was howling about. But, honestly, there's just so many costs attached to this system. It's just ridiculous, you know? If you want 4 controllers, it's automatically going to be almost another $100. And it's just, besides the fact that the $300 price point to begin with is not very good, it just bumps it up even more to a point where there's so many costs that come with this thing. It's just ridiculous. It's almost like when the Vita first came out and you had to buy those ridiculous SD cards that only worked with Vita. You couldn't use a regular SD card. Nintendo at least isn't going that route, thank God. But there's just, if you want to play this game this thing to the fullest, there's just so many costs that are attached, and it's completely ridiculous. And this, you know, honestly, these are all the problems with the system, and there's a few more. But that's not to say the system is going to be bad, and a lot of this stuff Nintendo can definitely revise in the future. Like the whole thing with the app, they definitely have the power to, you know, with like a big day one patch, or even, you know, a month later when online really hits with like more online games like Splatoon and Mario Kart, they have the option to do a big patch where they, you know, put all the networking features onto the system. But and with the price points, those can obviously go down, and they can revise their stance on the SNES thing. It's not like Nintendo to really revise their stance too often. That's a whole other story. But, you know, they could. And a lot of these things, all of these things actually can be fixed. It's not something that's, you know, in the hardware that's like hardwired in, you know, we can't fix it. These things can all be changed. And here's to hoping that Nintendo does change it. I'm praying, honestly. the biggest thing for me is the app. Honestly, Nintendo platforms have never been big with networking, and if a lot of my friends do end up getting the Switch, I'll want to be. He's starting again. I'll want to be networking with them. I want to be in parties with them while I'm playing my games, and the biggest thing is, how are you going to be able to listen to your game and the phone at the same time? It's just completely ridiculous to me, and I don't quite understand why they're handling the situation as they are. But here's to hoping that they fix some of that. And yeah, so that's it for that topic. And on to our final thing. We do, at the end, usually a little fun thing. And this week it is going to be new songs that were released yesterday. So if you guys don't know, new songs are always released on Friday. And there was actually a lot of stuff, like Kalani, she released her debut album. I haven't actually even listened to that. I need to do that. But I'm going to be talking about 3 songs that came out yesterday. And I guess we'll just jump right in. The first thing is Missy Elliot came out with a new song called I'm Better. The song was pretty good. It had that, Missy Elliot is always known for her beats that are really cool and inventive, and it had that really cool video. The thing is where is her album at? She's been releasing singles since WTF, where are they from? And that was, I believe it was 2 years ago? I know it was before the Super Bowl last year, because she released her next single was like a Super Bowl thing. And she's just been releasing singles, and I don't really, and like the song is pretty good. It's not great, but her singles just keep getting a lot of buzz and then just kind of falling off. Like the first few weeks, a lot of buzz. Oh, Missy Elliott, and then nothing. So I don't really know what she's gonna do. She needs to get going though. I'm waiting for this album. It's been, I think, over 10 years, and we're just waiting for it. And the single, it's good. I don't think it's gonna do anything huge on like radio or anything, and I'm just kind of waiting for that album. Good song though. I would definitely recommend listening to it. It's pretty enjoyable. And then the second song, and these aren't necessarily the biggest songs being released. These are just stuff I want to talk about. So our second song is Zara Larson, So Good. That's not my thoughts. That's the song title. It is pretty good. I don't think it's as strong as some of her previous singles, like Ain't My Fault, which was a complete, I'm trying not to curse, freaking banger. But it was definitely pretty good. Ty Dolla $ign was in it. It was enjoyable. Like I said, not her best work, but pretty good. I just keep kind of waiting for her to break out in the U.S., though. Like, she's definitely really big in a lot of other countries. I think, what's her biggest one? Like, Finland? I don't know. She's really popular in the UK, though. Like, and just kind of Europe. But she's not really breaking out here. Ain't My Fault, kind of, I think it peaked very low, but I think it did chart here. It had some radio play, but like I said, that was definitely much more of a song fitted for radio here in the U.S., and it didn't do much. So I keep waiting for Zara Larson to break out here, but I don't really see anything from her, so here's to hoping. But it was a good song. I would recommend it. And then our third song is Major Lazer, Party Next Door, and McQueen, Nicki Minaj, released a song called Run Up. And y'all know I'm here for Nicki. I'm not here for the other two. But as for the whole song, it had like a fun island beat. It was okay. It's just not my cup of tea. If Nicki was not in it, I would not be listening to it. But Nicki is in it, so I'm listening to it. And so for her verse, it was pretty good. It was just about a minute long. She switched up her flow like 47 times, as she does in her songs. She had her fun lyrical gags that she does all the time. And I'd be lying, if I said I didn't enjoy it. I definitely did enjoy it. Wasn't her strongest verse. And they're actually already filming the video. I think it's already doing very well on iTunes because people like Major Lazer, they like Party Next Door, and they like Nicki. Honestly, her verse is pretty long. It's about a minute, which is pretty good. But the fact of how long the song is without her, it's like 3.5 minutes. It doesn't keep me enough to want to listen to it all the time. I'll listen to her verse every once in a while, but overall, I just don't enjoy the song enough to really listen to it. I'll obviously support, because I keep praying girl gets her #1. She has not had a #1 hit in the U.S., in case you guys don't know. and neither did Ariana, and they were so close with side to side, but Closer. Ugh, I hate Closer. Had to ruin it. But yeah, it's a fun song. I like it. Well, I don't like it. I like her verse. I don't like the rest of the song. But if you like Nicki, go listen. If you like Major Lazer and Party Next Door, I don't know how they usually sound, but I think you'll probably like it. But that is it for this podcast, guys. As I said, in the last podcast, the podcast is going through a weird transition right now, and it'll be better when I get the new host. When I'm alone, I don't, it's a lot better to have a conversation where you're riffing off each other and talking with each other. That's not happening right now. I'm alone. I'll have my cat on next time. I will just have him meow away and be like, that's a really good point. But it's just a lot easier to riff and talk with someone as opposed to just doing it yourself. So I promise you guys the next podcast will definitely be better. I'll get the new host, and like I said, it was just kind of a scheduling conflict that led to the host not being here. I keep saying the host. I'm not going to do any pronouns because I want to keep it a surprise. I did mention it somewhere, though. I'm realizing right now I already mentioned it somewhere. So if you're listening, I'm not going to say where I mentioned it, but you might already know who it is. But I'm going to try to keep it a surprise. It'll be really fun once they're here, and they can, riff with me and chat with me about these things, as opposed to me just talking about them by myself. But with Jane leaving so suddenly, day of recording, she's not in the podcast anymore. Oh, okay. It was hard to find a replacement for the first episode, but next episode we should definitely have one. But I'd like to thank you guys so much for the continued support. Sorry about it being a day late again, but I hope you enjoyed the topics we covered. Next week I'll probably have more relatable stuff than Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Switch. I'll try to keep it more general. There wasn't too much news this week, but I'll try to be more broad and not talk about just what I want to talk about. But yeah, that is it for the Headfirst podcast. I love you all so much. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.